Final Four is set on both sides. We're gonna do predictions, and then we're just gonna go home. All right, 3.
Well, I'm gonna hit the gym, and then we can go home.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 2 for 2, your sports podcast for the culture by the voices of the culture. I'm your host, Keith, and I'm here as always, my brother Nell. We back on the pod today. Got another great episode for you guys, man. It's season 3, episode 86. Let's hop right into it. Nell, my brother, good to see you, man.
Good to see you as always, man. I like the little
man.
setup you got going on back there. It's different
appreciate
today.
you. Switch
But
it up a little bit.
you still in time and money, man? What's going on?
Nah, man, this is after hours time. After
Okay.
hours. Just wanted to knock this out. We got a busy week, man. So hopped into my special office and I decided to, switch it up for today. I got some sports around paraphernalia around me this time. People say I need to have some more sports around me. So I've got sports. I'm surrounded
Yeah, show
by
the
nothing
spirit.
but sports. Yeah, man. So but we here, man. It's crazy. March Madness has flown by. We are officially down to 4 teams on both sides, the men's side and the women's side. Final Four set. And it's pretty much chalk. Pretty much chalk outside of the women's side. On the men's side, we got 1 seed Houston taking on Duke. We got 1 seed Florida taking on Auburn. On the women's side, we got 1 seed Texas taking on 1 seed South Carolina. And then 1 seed UCLA is taking on 2 seed UConn. Doesn't even feel real that UConn's really a 2 seed. We're so used to seeing them just dominate as the 1 seed and win. They might have that mojo back, but we'll see, man. Let's start on that men's side. Houston, Duke, your boys taking on Coach Sampson and the Houston Cougars, a team that a lot of people always say. I saw a funny tweet. They were talking about how Coach Sampson got to be the coach of the year because every year he's a 1 seed. Every year he makes a little run with a team full of guys that you've never heard of. But Houston has some guys, right? They're led, by their point guard. But Duke, they also have guys. We know the name, Cooper Flag, probably the most polarizing, not really polarizing, but really just one of the biggest names in college sports, across sports right now, one of the biggest names in the world, Cooper Flag, led by Coach Sean Shire. I know you're a Duke guy, Nell, but looking at this game, what do you see? Do you see any opportunity for your Duke boys to blow it? Are they favorite? Are they still your favorite?
Easily the favorite. And if anything, I will say before the tournament, I would say, just being a homer, I was saying, they were favorite and they were going to win. But then you watch a couple of games and you're like, nah, this is
the best
probably
team.
by far the best team in college basketball right now. You look at the way they're playing on both sides of the floor. The most efficient offense in college basketball. Defensively, they're not too shabby either. I think they're top 5 or 10 defensively. They don't turn the ball over. Like I said, very efficient. And it's not just Cooper Flag. Like you said, they've got a bunch of guys. Proctor, the center whose name I don't feel like botching. He's protecting the rim. You got guys knocking down threes. Pick and roll. You got Cooper Flag coming down the lane, and if you stop him, then he's throwing the lob. So I mean, it's a very complete team. Very well coached. Like I said, I think they've been playing some great basketball. They've got like a top 5 point differential like ever in the NCAA tournament. So they've been doing things right. But it's not going to be easy against Houston. They're very stout defensively too. They held Tennessee to 15 first half points in their Elite Eight matchup, and that was a record for an Elite 8 game. So they can be suffocating on defense. So it'll be interesting to see if they can make Duke uncomfortable at all. In their sets, I think that'll be the key because offensively, I think if Duke is able to go out there and have the kind of game offensively that they've been having this entire tournament, I think it's going to be tough for Houston to keep up. But I don't think this is a game that Duke will win by 20.
Okay.
Houston's only loss, their only losses are like 5 points or less. Three out of four losses came in overtime. So you're not just gonna get a 10 point lead and this team's gonna lay down and pretty much just roll over and let you beat them. You're gonna have to play a full game. Those guys they're gonna play hard. They're gonna keep coming defensively. So can't take any possessions off. I think it'll be a close game, close for the most part. But I think Duke. Uh, I just think they're just too good on both ends, and talent wise, I just think that'll just show as the game goes on.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I think, I have a hard time, like you said, the way Duke's been playing, they look head and shoulders above everybody else, right? We got 4 1 seeds. These are the four best teams in the country. We said it when we did the preview of the tournament, right? These are the 4 1 seeds in the men's side were head and shoulders better than the rest of the field. But the way you've been looking at it, Holmes, is like most outstanding team of the tournament. Duke has looked head and shoulders above everybody else, right? You haven't really seen them tested. The Arizona game was close-ish, right? I think they've been heavy favorites in just about every game, and they've shown why, right? But you said the word uncomfortable. And I think that is the one thing that gives Houston a fighting, not even a fighting chance, that they give them a legitimate chance, right? They've got LJ Cryer over there. He runs the show for them. And they have a bevy of other guys around that shoot the ball well, that play defense. But the
Sharp
ultimate thing,
had a pretty
yeah,
good
Sharp, yeah,
game.
Emmanuel Sharp, he's really good. What's the guy? It's like Uzan or something like that. He's really good as well. Um, they make teams uncomfortable. And I think if there's one thing when I look at Duke all season that makes me slightly like, oh, it's the simple fact that they really haven't been challenged, right? Outside their one loss, they got one loss on the season, right? I'm pretty sure. 3 losses.
I think it was, yeah.
Three losses on the season. But you look at the last month of their games. Outside of the UNC game, they didn't have a close game in the last month. Right? They haven't had a close game in the last month. And I think the style that Houston plays, the tempo that they have, the way they get up and you make you uncomfortable, I think it could be a game where you see guys like who's their guy? Sion James for Duke have to step up, right? You might have to see Isaiah Evans come off the bench and give him a big lift because it's going to be a dogfight, right? I think Duke is still, I feel confident that they'll handle business, win this game. Like you said, they're incredibly deep. On top of the fact that John Shire is showing that he's an elite X and O's guy, right? He made Alabama look silly, taking advantage of the way that they defend, the way that they want to get into their sets on offense. They completely took Mark Sears out of the game, right? And that made it easy for Duke at that point. So, they can do something similar with LJ Cryer. You might be looking at the double-digit loss for Houston. You know what I'm saying? You might be because, like you said, Houston's not a big-time scoring team. Duke can get up in the hundreds, and they're comfortable playing up in the hundreds. Houston, they play a little bit different. They want to keep a little bit lower scoring, kind of suffocate you, make you tap out essentially, right, and make you lose a game. But I like Duke's chances, man. Like you said, I think they've been the best team this tournament. I think they've been the best team this season to me. And I think, it goes deeper than just the name Cooper Flag. And I think it'll be another guy that we see step up for Duke in this game. And it'll be exciting. But definitely big shout out to Houston, Coach Kelvin Sampson, man. They've been right here at pretty much fighting to get to the national championship for the last 3-4 years, right? He comes back every year with another squad, and they do it again, and they do it again, and they do it again. So, could this be
And
the
they can
year?
they can do it again next year.
No. Okay, shout out to them. I guess they'll have to do it again. The other game that we got, man, Florida, Auburn. Now, this is what people say statistically, looking at record, looking at all the things. These are two of the teams that people consider up there, right? Auburn's your number one overall seed. Florida has looked about as good as anybody all year, but a contrast, I would say, right? Auburn has 4 or 5 guys that come in and go nuts, right? You got Janai Broom, right? You got Pettiford, the freshman that comes in. You got Denver Jones, Baker Mazar, or is it Mazara? Baker, something, I'm talking about. A lot of guys coached by Bruce Pearl, right? And then on the other side, you got Florida led by Big Walt, right? And then the rest of the guys kind of just filling. They got Elijah Martin to transfer from FAU, who's going to be playing big minutes for them. They have one of the biggest front courts in college basketball.
Is he Big Walt if he's a junior?
The other Walt Jr. we know called him Big Walt, so he's going to go with Big Walt. So Janai Broom's also banged up, right? He got hurt in that last game. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll play. But looking at this one, man, who goes to the Natty out of these 2-1 seeds, Florida or you got Auburn?
I am leaning towards Florida for right now. I think it'll be pretty good matchup. I think a lot of it'll come down to who gets off to a quicker start. We've seen both of these teams and a few games of this tournament kind of fall behind. Auburn, flipped that script against Michigan State and was pretty good throughout that entire game. Even when Janai Broom got hurt, it was a little shaky for a second, but they were able to hold on, and he came back in, and they pretty much sealed the deal in that game. So, I mean, if either team can get off to a quick start, that should definitely help. But with the way Walter Clayton and this Florida team's been looking in these last couple of games in the second half, even if you got a lead on them, you can never be too sure. Clayton and the kid Hall hit a bunch of big threes down the stretch in that game in the Elite Eight. And the shots that Clay was making, I mean, those are like big time, like
very high level shots,
hot, like NBA level, cold blooded side step backs, contested threes. He's a big time shot maker in the clutch. So I mean, if the game is close with 4 or 5 minutes left, I don't know how I don't side with Florida to go ahead and win that game. Like you said, Florida's been one of the best teams all year. It's a deep team. They got a bunch of guys. If Janai Broom can dominate like he did against Michigan State, they certainly got a chance. This could be best Final Four that we've ever had, just because we don't have any of the lower seeds, the majors in there. These are all the top dogs that throughout the entire season have played the best basketball, and we've got to the point in March Madness. It's rare, but we've gotten to that point where all the top dogs, all the number one seeds, they did their job and they got to the Final Four. I mean, I said before when we were doing our initial preview, I was like, I ain't picking all the number ones to get there, and look what happened. Of course, all the number ones got there. So
yeah.
This one's a toss up to me, but I think if the game is close in the final minutes, I'm leaning towards Florida just because Walter Clayton Jr. is as cold blooded as it gets. Down the stretch in terms of clutch shot making.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at when they've played this season, and they've only played one time. Let me make sure
Florida won that game, right? Yeah.
Florida beat them back in February, 90-81 at Auburn. At Auburn. Now, prior to seeing this, I was already leaning Auburn. But now I think I'm really, really gonna lean Auburn. I think it's because, to me, when you think Florida, you said big shots, right? Walter Clayton has been filling it up for him. He's been handling business in that front. But when I see Auburn, I see multiple guys that can go ahead and do that, right? You got Janai Broom. He's their leader, right? He's up there with Cooper Flagg for Player of the Year. He's legitimate, right? But you also have, I talked about Denver Jones, his big shot making. Talk about Pettiford. You talk about how the Michigan State game. Let's go back another couple days. The Michigan game was won by freshman Tahad Pettiford, right? He simply just took over and went crazy. And I think I ultimately just think Auburn has more shot makers than Florida. Well, we know what we're going to get from Walter Clayton. We know Elijah Martin. You just said the guy was the last name Hill or whatever.
Hall,
right. Really good players, man. But I just think, it's going to come down to who can make the most shots. And I feel like Auburn has more guys that can do that. More guys that they're a little bit deeper to me. I feel like Florida, I don't think Florida's bigs will have an answer for Broom, honestly. And with the fact, like I said, Auburn's lost this game before to Florida. I don't think the final. I don't see him knocking them off again. I don't think that's going to be the answer. I think Bruce Pearl is going to make an adjustment. You know, I love the work that Coach Golden has done at Florida this year. I mean, should maybe be up there for Coach of the Year. If he's not, he should be. I mean, I'm sure he will be. But um, yeah, man, I'm just going to lean on the side with a team with more guys. I can see this one being, you know, a high scoring affair, right? I can see big shot after big shot being made, but ultimately, you know, you mentioned how Florida has come out in the second half and beaten teams, or even really in the last 10 minutes of these games. Right now, there's been the
Some
last
of the
10
last
minutes.
5.
You know what I'm saying? We're looking like, ooh, Florida might be on the ropes, and then they hit one shot, and it's like, oh well, there it is. I don't think they can get by Auburn with that recipe. I think Auburn's ready for this moment. You know, Auburn's kind of like Houston. Coach Pearl's had this team knocking on the door for years now. They coming in, you know, they're a favorite in the tournament, and then they lose to some crazy game that they wouldn't lose 9 times out of 10. And then, you know, they get sent off to the sunset. So I'm feeling Auburn, Duke. I feel like those have been the top 2 teams to me all season. And I feel like coming out, man, we're gonna have that's gonna be it. That's gonna be the natty. I think that's where I'm going.
Florida
Except
Duke will be better.
why?
I don't know.
Nobody wants to
Just a little
watch that.
bit.
Put all the big names
I
in
mean,
one
Coop
game.
versus Janai Broom would be
I mean, we can talk about
certainly
player of the year. Let's settle it right now.
certainly an elite matchup. So
Let's settle it right now. Let's settle it right now. So that'll be
fans
fun,
are eating
man.
regardless. As long as it's
Oh,
Duke versus somebody,
well, I went on a whole
we are
thing
happy.
with somebody about how Duke fans can we agree Duke fans are up there with like the LA Laker fans and Cowboys fans.
Nah, nah,
It's just
nah.
ironic you are a fan of 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. I
We
got
haven't
you.
won a national championship since 2015.
What does that mean?
It's the first time you've heard me this confident about Duke.
Oh, I mean, but I hear a lot of Duke fans that are confident like that often every year.
I mean, I think any franchise that has a lot of success are going to have some
I'm
fans
just
like that.
I just asked a question.
There's plenty of
I
other franchises that
college wise.
I don't know about college fan base, so I can't say. I know UNC fans that thought they were going to win a national championship every year in college when I was in college. So I know some annoying UNC fans.
Okay. I mean, I
I
feel
knew a couple of annoying Kentucky fans.
okay.
I think it's just the blue
It's
bloods.
just the
Like,
blue
yeah.
bloods. Okay, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I was just wondering. I was just wondering what you
Like we
thought
were
about
at
it.
one point, like the blue bloods were just on a pedestal. So like can't
Yeah,
really blame people growing up watching a blue blood damn near in the championship every year.
yeah.
Of course they gonna think that.
So with that though,
You got Tatum coming in, you got Jabari Parker coming in, you got Cooper Flag coming in, you got Zion coming in. Crazy that the only one in the last like 10 years that won the title was Big Ja, but you know,
the
take
Frank
what you can
Kaminsky's and
get.
them boys.
And
I mean,
Tyus Jones, Justice Winslow.
what I'll ask you though is, as we said, we see this one seeds. Do you think this will be a trend moving forward with college basketball? Because we kind of touched on it last week, where I talked about like the transfer portal and how that's kind of gone. Do you think we gonna see an uptick in heavy chalk tournaments on both sides moving forward? Do you think
Hey,
it's hard? I mean, it's hard to predict the college basketball landscape because stuff
yeah,
happens
like
in
I
half a
would say,
second.
like if it happened again next year, I think it's certainly a conversation to have. But I mean, look, it's not like it's never happened before. It's not like we've never
Yeah,
had
yeah,
all one
yeah,
seeds make it before. It's the first time since 2008. I mean, who's to say we won't go another 10, 20 years before we have all 4
yeah.
number 1 seeds in the final 4? So who knows?
Yeah,
But it's
you're right.
certainly like it looks like it's trending that way. It looks like it's certainly it could be a possibility with the way that rosters are constructed and NIL deals and things of that nature. So it's certainly possible, but we'll see what happens next year. Next year we might get an 8 seed in the final 4. Who knows?
Depending on who that A seed
And
is,
then we're right back to what March Madness used to
back to
be.
normalcy. Back
Yeah.
to normalcy. All right, that's fair. That's fair. Let's look at the women's side though. All right, we said it. 1 seed Texas versus 1 seed South Carolina. How you feeling, man? Texas had a big win over Tennessee. I didn't think they would get it. You know, South Carolina had a dog fight with Maryland. Jesus Christ, man. We neither of us expected that one.
I told you
Shout out to.
I could see it being close.
I mean, you're right. fair. I did not expect that one at
Yeah,
all. I
you was
was.
disrespecting the Terps. Like we ain't go see them play this
They
year.
ain't
We
gonna
don't
let
know
me
what they
back.
get
They
into.
ain't gonna let me back into the stadium after that, man. I was genuinely surprised at the game. Uh, South Carolina just showing, but they're showing that they can be beat. Obviously, I mean, anybody can be beat, especially around this time. But the main goal is, you just want to win. I'm sure Don Staley will take a 1-point victory over a 2-point loss. So, where you leaning on this one, man? Texas, South Carolina for a chance to go back. Can South Carolina get back?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I'm really torn because, like you said, South Carolina just hasn't really looked like the South Carolina that we're used to. And I saw someone mention this earlier. Kind of might be a victim of their own success. They've been so dominant, that program and Dawn Staley, the past 4 or 5 years that they're finally in a tournament where everything isn't so easy. They had had to pull out a close one against Duke, had to pull out a close one against Maryland. Like I said, they
Yeah,
haven't
that's
played
right.
their best ball offensively, but they're still winning games, and there's something to be said about winning when you're not playing your best, or playing through adversity. They don't have a dominant go-to person like Cardosa. uh, it's kind of whoever's the hero on
Yeah,
that given night.
whoever. Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and against Duke, it was kids in the fourth quarter. um, so I mean, I still think they're a dangerous team, and they've played Texas what 3 times already, 2-1 against them. Texas's offense is kind of, it's getting there. It's gotten a lot better this tournament than in the regular season. We know that they're not a prolific 3-point shooting team. So um, both of these teams, they have periods where their offenses just kind of stall, and they go a couple of minutes where they're just not getting buckets. So I think if South Carolina could come out and have an efficient offense, not turn the ball over, turnovers have kind of been an issue for them this tournament. If they can play efficient, I think they'll be okay. I think they have the matchups defensively to hang with Texas. Madison Booker, uh, great player. She's only averaging about 12 points a game, and the 3 games that they played against South Carolina, shooting 26%. You've got Bree Hall defensively, locking stuff down. So South Carolina's got a lot of people that they can throw at you. So I think for that reason, it's hard for me to go against Auntie Dawn, but I
Hmm.
think this will be definitely a grind out game that'll come down to the last couple of minutes. Seems to be the case with South Carolina lately. They can never seem to just put a team away. They always keep them hanging right then and there. So I think this game will come down to the fourth quarter. Um, if Texas can, shock some people and knock down a bunch of threes, I think they're like one of the lowest, have like one of the lowest 3-point rates in the country. So South Carolina's going to be packing the paint, but if they can make some shots, and Booker can come alive for one game against SC, and have a breakout performance against them, they can give themselves a chance. But um, they're gonna they're gonna have to dominate for Texas to win. They're gonna have to win the paint battle. Um, gonna have to make it ugly. Get offensive rebounds, second chance points, create some turnovers. They can do that. Keep themselves in a game. They can certainly win it, but I think I'm gonna go Auntie Dawn and the Gamecocks here to get back to the national championship.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those grinded out games. I didn't. I mentioned the Maryland game and not the Duke game for South Carolina. Shout out to Kara Lawson and that Duke team. They another game. I texted you. I was like, I don't think they have enough offensively to beat South Carolina. But then, like you said, those turnovers after turnover after turnover after turnover. I texted you again. I said, well, maybe they have enough defensively to win the game. And sure enough, I mean, they really could have won that game, but they didn't. South Carolina pulled it out, and I think it'll be another game just like that for South Carolina for Don Staley and the Gamecocks. But I think where the battle will be won is I think South Carolina's a little bit deeper, right? Like they can go with multiple lineups, right? And we know Don Staley has no problem switching up a lineup just to say, hey, we gonna do this. If it works, we're gonna roll with it until it don't, and then we'll switch it up. She said that again the Duke game. She's like, hopefully we can pull away and we can get our lineups going back properly. But right now, this is who we're going with, and so they'll go with that. I think for Texas, I think Rory Harmon will have to have a big game as well. She's their leading assist, leads them in assists. She runs the show for them. She's gonna have a good. She got to command the game. Pretty simple for Texas to have a real. I don't want to say they have a real shot because I think they do have a real opportunity. But with the way that South Carolina has persevered through these tough games, I think I give them the edge, right? I think between Chloe Kitts, between Full Wiley, my girl Pow Pow. They got enough. They have enough to turn to when it gets dark, and I think it's gonna be hard to beat them for Texas. It's gonna be hard, to break through, especially the way that they play offensively. I thought Tennessee would win that game. I was wrong, and it was close. Tennessee kind of faltered at the end.
I told you, stop trusting schools that Tobias Harris went to.
Oh, come on. They fought. It was a good game.
They fought.
They did. And Texas going to fight. South Carolina going to put them away. Shout out Auntie Don, man. We back. But who do you think? We both lean in South Carolina. The other side, we feel robbed. We said that, right? It still don't feel right. UCLA is now taking on UConn. We thought we would get the Juju Paige Beckers, but we didn't. So now we got UConn, UCLA. The UCLA coach remember, she was upset going into the tournament. She felt like they were being disrespected. And I'm not going to lie, we both said over the weekend, wow, just watching them play, right? Can Paige pull it off? Can Paige, Sarah Strong, Gino, Ozzie Fudd, can they take down UCLA and be the only 2 seed that we'll see in March make it to a national championship? The only 2 seed with a chance now.
I if any team can knock off a number 1 seed, it's definitely UConn. They're playing probably the best basketball of any team in the tournament. Paige Beckers has been on an absolute heater lately. 3 straight 30-point games, a 40-point game sprinkled in there. Where she had 31, 4 steals, couple blocks. Last game against USC, Sarah Strong really coming on. Like her game is very strong. Like she's got it all, and she's not. She's not
just a name. It's not just a name.
Not just a name, man. It's a lifestyle. And it's not just feeding off of Paige Beckers either. She can go out there, she can get it on her own, she can create for herself. We've seen her, spin moves, fadeaways. She's got little floaters and push shots. So just as a 1-2 punch, and then Fudd, she had a tough shooting game last time. I think she was 3 of 12. She started 0 of 9, but she was able to fight through that and made a couple of big shots down the stretch in that game to, hold off USC from making that comeback. So I think she'll have a much better game against UCLA. Paige is, she looks as determined to cut down those nets as anyone. This being her final year, she'd probably be like one of the only few superstars to come through UConn and not win a championship. So, it kind of feels like she has to finish the job. And I was a huge fan first in high school. It's only a few women that I really catch wind of about them in high school before they get to college and WNBA, her and Juju. Really wish I could have saw that matchup between them two. But once she went down, Paige, definitely want her to, I would love to see her and UConn win a championship, but I'm not going to lie. After watching UCLA these past couple games, man, that girl Lauren Betts is a problem.
Different. Oh my God.
I don't know if UConn can solve that problem down low. I love Sarah Strong. Don't know if she's strong enough to hold Lauren down low. And LSU was lucky that she was in foul trouble in the first quarter and she couldn't really play the first half, but she still dominated that entire second half. She had 6 blocks. Still, I think finished with 16 points.
17.
And she's so good down low. If you double her, she's she's shown that she's clearly a very capable and willing passer out the double team. And there's a lot of ladies on this UCLA team that can knock down shots. So I'll be interested to see how UConn plays her. If they play her straight up, or I feel like you kind of have to double her, and then we'll see if her supporting cast can knock down shots. One thing I know for sure, Sarah Strong will show up, Paige will show up, Lauren Betts will show up. What's the rest of the supporting cast going to do? I mean, right now I feel like I trust UConn supporting cast more, but it's hard to teach 6-7. It is hard to teach 6-7.
Yeah.
So I mean, really, if they can kind of slow her down, and she's not an absolute bully on the boards and dominating down low, offensively, UConn certainly has a chance to keep it close. But will they be able to contain Lauren Betts at all? And if they can't, and they have to, start scrambling and double teaming her, will they be able to get out the shooters and kind of prevent the others from getting off? If they can, UConn certainly has a chance. But as of right now, the way UCLA is playing, they don't turn the ball over. Lauren stays out of foul trouble. I just think it'll be very hard to stop them. And it's really Lauren Betts versus Paige. We'll see which star can go off. And I know they like to have Lauren Betts in drop coverage, so I'll be interested to see how they play Paige in the pick and roll. So a lot of things to go into this matchup, but I like UCLA. I do like the way that they're playing. I want to be wrong on this. I'd love to see UConn. Lauren still got one more year, so I would love to see Paige, be able to go off into the sunset as a national champion. But I'm rocking with UCLA right now.
Man, that's tough coming from you. Because you said once Juju went down, you was with Paige the rest of the way, and now you switching up, but with good reason, right? I mean, let's look at Lauren Betts' stats. In 25 minutes against LSU, 17, 7, 6 blocks, like you said.
I mean, what's the girl Morrow from LSU? She went off for 30 and 19 the game before,
right?
And then you run into that brick wall of a beast.
She was like what, 4 for 15 or something.
It's tough to get your shots off down there when she's sitting in that paint waiting for you.
Exactly, and then she had 2 30-point games before that. Like you said, you just can't teach 6-7. Not. I mean, in women's basketball, that's ginormous, right? I mean, that's ginormous at any level, but especially for women's basketball, that's ginormous. You talked about Cardoza and her impact when she was at South Carolina. I mean, this is that plus, right? Like this is that plus summit, and we know, to me, the most talented player in this game will be Paige Bueckers, but the most dominant player in this game could very well be Lauren Betts. It depends on who, like you said, who dominates the game more. If Paige gets going and she can have an insane night, and then you, like you said, get great contributions from Sarah Strong, great contributions from Ozzie Flood, great contributions from the rest of that bench, I mean, we might be okay. Gino Auriemma, it's not very much he hasn't seen as a coach, right? And he's done it before. I as a fan, when I'm looking at championship teams, championship DNA, like I go to the teams that have done it before, right? That's why I'm so high on South Carolina. That's why, we're so high on South Carolina. They've done it before. And I think Gino, UConn, they've done it, but I just have a really hard time believing that they're going to have an answer for Lauren Betts at all, right? We could very well see a 30 and 15 night for her, and it could foil a great night.
Another day in the shop for her.
You know what I'm saying? It could spoil a great night for UConn. It doesn't really matter if she stays out of foul trouble. I mean, she kills it on the defensive end. She's gonna make those pick and rolls harder for Paige Bueckers, regardless. I mean, she's huge, bro, and she's really good as well. She's very skilled. She plays hard, and she can play for a long time. Like she's not your big that you got to give her a minute and sit her. She out there and she impacts the game. And like you said, those UCLA girls around her, they show up for her. In my heart of hearts, I feel like UCLA will win. But for the sake of narrative, I'm going to go with UConn. I'm going to say that they're going to slay Goliath. We're going to call her Goliath. They're not. This is not a David and Goliath by any chances. But because they're the only 2 seed left, the only not 1 seed left, we got to get them some love. And I'm going to say UConn and Gino figure it out and square off and take on South Carolina in a Classic.
That'd be a great game.
That'd be a
great
classic.
game.
That'd be a classic. Let's get 2 classics, man. Let's get Duke, Auburn. Let's get South Carolina, UConn. Let's do that.
Oh, there ain't gonna be no classics now. Just belt to ass.
Man, that's crazy, man. But so I mean, who wins it all? Flat out, men's side, you going Duke?
Going Duke and UCLA.
Duke and UCLA. All right, I'm gonna go.
The winner of
Duke.
UCLA UConn will be your national champion on the women's side, and Duke,
Okay.
without a doubt, will be your national champion on the men's side.
Take it to the bank. Take it to the bank and deposit it. All right, you heard it from the man. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm gonna just let it go. I don't have UCLA winning UConn, so I'm gonna just let it be. But I mean,
Your heart of
wow.
hearts, you do.
I don't want to. I'm not giving it to another California school. Juju or nothing.
That's fair. I respect it.
Yeah, man. But I mean, hey, that's all we got for y'all today. You know, good little episode, breaking it down. You know, we got
You
a
want to talk
couple
about
days.
you want to talk about the
No.
tush push?
We'll wait. You know, they got the tush push on the table right now. They considering banning it. You know, Eagles fans, I'm sure they will have an emotional response.
Regardless of the outcome.
Yes, one way or another. If they don't ban it, you'll be hearing, see, they tried to shoot us, take us down. They can. And if they do, they're trying to take us down. Let it go. You know what I'm saying? Hey, more power to you. I don't care. My team stopped the tush push. So I don't care. But they did have a new rule. Finally, now in regular season games, overtime will be, both teams will possess the ball in overtime.
About time.
Yeah. It's a little,
honestly,
long overdue.
Yeah, it's shocking that it took this long to do in the regular season. Honestly, it just never really made sense to me how you could have 2 teams competing at a high level for 4 quarters and it ends in a tie and we go, hey, if this team scores first, y'all just go home. It's over.
Yeah,
We're not even going to give y'all a chance. Even though y'all played so competitively, even back and forth for entire 4 quarters.
We're going to put it all
if this team scores first, you're done. Don't even get a chance.
On a coin flip.
Just go home.
All on a coin flip, yeah. Letting the coin flip decide and then putting the pressure on you to get a stop.
Yeah.
It's absurd. It's kind of wild. So shout out to the NFL for making some sort of adjustment. But yeah, man, with that, you know, we're going to wrap this thing up, man. This season 3, episode 86 of the 2 for 2 pod. We appreciate y'all as always. Continue to show love on all platforms, social media platforms, Instagram. We got YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, everything, man. Keep showing love. We appreciate y'all, each and every one of you. With that, Keith and L, 2 for 2. We out.
No.